Okay, so let me just it's like crooked. Okay. Hi. So considering this is my first video, you probably don't know me. Like 99% of you probably have no idea who I am. So I'm just gonna quickly introduce myself and lay down the basics like it's the first day of a university course. My name is Ayana. I'm 20 years old. I am from, let's just say I'm from Toronto, Canada, and I am a political science student. I am currently in my, well, I just completed my third year, so I'm going into my fourth. I have a Twitter account, so if you do know me, you probably either know me from there or Wattpad. Please shut up. All of your biases about Wattpad are totally wrong, and hopefully I'll make a video about that. But I think I just got over 850 followers on Wattpad, so maybe you know me from Wattpad or Twitter. Are you I mingle? I have a lot of people who I would consider friends who are sort of Booktube or Wattpad or Booktube adjacent. Like Chanel and I were like in a group chat. I'll like leave her account somewhere up here. You probably have heard of her if you're in Booktube. And writing has mostly been my passion for like the past 5 years, ever since I've been in high school, but reading not so much. And to be honest, I haven't read anything this year. I'm seeing people upload their mid-year freakouts. At least they have something to freak out about. At least they have something of substance that they've read. I've read 3 books this year, and 2 of them were rereads from my childhood. I read The Hunger Games and then I read Throne of Glass. I've only read 1 book that I've never read before. And it really concerns me, because when I was younger, when I was like 13, 14, I could like bang out books. I could like read a whole crap ton of books in under a month. And right now I'm just stagnant. 3 books in 6 months. You do the math. Like my executive dysfunction it's just gone. It's like skyrocketed to fucking Mars. So, and I just really wanted to know why I don't have this passion for reading anymore, why I didn't kind of feel like I was let in with the Booktube community, why I don't really associate with them that much. Like there's tons of great people and great creators who I follow and who I adore and who I've always thought, oh, I would love to have a channel like them. I would love to have a channel where I just talk about books and I have all the books behind me and I just drink a lot of tea and light candles. But I haven't, and it's been years since I've wanted to start. I just haven't. I've been so disillusioned with reading and the Booktube community for so long, and I was really trying to figure out why until this past month when it all clicked. With how the Booktube community really does handle issues relating to people of color, more specifically Black people, especially Black women, because that's the main demographic that's on Booktube. So I'll go into further depth. I was on Twitter and I had seen a tweet by Mayana. It's Mayana or Mayona. You'd think I would know that by having my name mispronounced, so I'm sorry, but she's a great person. I like her videos a lot. She's really intuitive, and she had a tweet it might be 3 weeks from now, talking about how certain people on Booktube have been awfully silent surrounding, obviously, we all know what's going on, the George Floyd scenario that had happened in late May, and how a whole slew of booktubers who have platforms demonstrably huge, like hundreds of thousands of followers, and they have been silent. And she said that, specifically in her tweet, she said, they care more about their aesthetic than they care about Black lives, or even just a retweet because it would interrupt their perfect pastel candles and tea aesthetic. And that got me really thinking, because that tweet was really something that should have hit me a long time ago. And it's always been one of the problems I've had with the Booktube community, like in the back of my mind, in the corner, but with that tweet, it was kind of brought up to the forefront. So thank you to Mayona for finally opening my eyes. It got me thinking about What is the aesthetic of Booktube as a YouTube subsection? What is it that you think of when you think of Booktube? And what I think personally is, and I just wanted to disclaim, I'm not trying to talk about anyone. That's not my intention. Even if I feel like someone makes content that's not my thing or that I don't feel represented by, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad person. It's when they actually use that platform to spread ignorance, or when they use that platform to say really hurtful things, that we have an issue. So when I think of Booktube, I think of like typically a young girl in her 20s, white. She has all the bookshelves behind her, and she's very pretty, very pastel aesthetic, very cute. And that's fine. I mean, like, you do you. Like, I don't have a problem with that. Like, for example, let's give some examples. Like Sasha Alsberg, Pursue Project, Little Book Owl. I actually like Little Book Owl. I think she's really cool. And like people like that. And I don't have a problem with that intrinsically. Like, I don't have an issue with Sasha Alsberg having all the books behind her, because I think she has a beautiful setup. I think she's a very beautiful person. My issue is when Sasha Alsberg doesn't speak out about issues. When she remains ignorant for so long about issues and only talks about it when people are like, hey, you have a huge audience. Maybe you could share something or just retweet. It doesn't have to be. And here's something that I do want to get into. I do not think that you need to write a whole political dissertation. When I was devastated by the George Floyd murder, my first reaction was not, oh, let's see what Sasha Alsberg thinks about this. No, I just want you to show that you are using your platform in a way that is responsible, in a way that is mature, in a way that suggests that you live in fucking reality. And I don't think that's something hard to ask of someone, especially a grown-ass woman, okay? So, I was really disappointed when I was seeing the amount of just ignorance and just people just willing to like treat this like this is not something that affects everyone. I know white allies might not understand, but racism and white supremacy and these growing opinions that are rising right now, these far right opinions, they affect all of us. They affect everyone. And they might not directly affect you, but I guarantee you, you know someone in your life who is marginalized, who will be affected. And it just really disappoints me. And it's not just the Black Lives Matter thing. This aesthetic has become so toxic that it's what we come to expect from everyone. We just expect them to be this super positive, no politics, no whatever. And I'm gonna do a little aside right now. Everything is political, okay? You cannot separate politics from anything. These women going to read books is a political thing, because in some places of the world, women cannot read. They get punished for that. So that is a political thing. It just disgusts me how when we're finally talking about Black lives, that now it's political, when everything we consume is political. Me buying this shirt from Forever 21 as it was shutting down, and I got it for like clearance for like $5, is political, okay? So that's something I want to get out of the way. When people say no politics, no, it's bullshit. Everything they do is political. I'm a political science major. No need to brag, but trust me. Okay, so, and like I was saying, I was just super disappointed that they weren't speaking out. And when they were, it was like, oh, I'm being bullied, I'm being this. And we just come to accept that. Their audiences see no issue with that, because that's what they have come to expect, because this aesthetic of whiteness, like, that's just what we come to expect. And we see no issue when people on Instagram are commenting, oh, don't listen to the people bullying you. We see no issue when white women are crying. You're crying on Instagram Live about how, I just don't know what to do. These big Black bitches are just, I'm learning, okay? Girl, if you want to cry, that's fine. It's a really upsetting time, but cry on your own time. You don't need to post that online. You're not doing yourself any favors. You're just making yourself look like you're trying to make a situation that is a larger political ongoing scenario about yourself, when it really is about the state executing people extrajudicially. So if you feel overwhelmed, that's fine. Those are natural emotions, but please understand that there are Black people in your life who are terrified right now. And for you to be crying about how hard it is for you because we hold you to a high standard as an adult is just ridiculous. Okay? So we have people deleting comments. They don't want any criticism. They just want to post their pretty pastel pictures as if nothing is going on. And they're crying on Instagram Live. And it just really is upsetting to see this response. And I think another problem is forced positivity on Booktube, which is something that I've always, before the George Floyd incident and Breonna Taylor, I used to talk about how it was very strange to me how on Booktube that you wouldn't be able to criticize anything. And if you did and you were super hyperbolic, people would say, oh, you're being negative, someone worked really hard on that book, blah, 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 you shouldn't be saying that. And that's fine if you think that, if you really liked a book and someone's tearing it apart, that's really hard to see, I understand that. But people are entitled to their negative opinions just as much as their positive ones. If I don't like a book, I could say it's terrible and do whatever I want with my mouth. And if you think it's good, you could be positive about it and praise it. It's just when we resort to calling people bad names and terrible things that we have an issue. We could respect other people's opinions. But I've never in my life seen the weaponization of this forced positivity on Booktube in my life, and I think it's disgusting. So I'll give you an example. So if I were to say, I'm really disappointed that insert booktuber's name here hasn't talked about Black Lives Matter and is just posting as normal, you're gonna see people being like, oh, you're a bully, you're this, you're awful, she just wants to escape. This Instagram thing is to escape. We read books to go to faraway realms where we don't have to think about our fucked up lives. How dare you? This is a safe, positive space. Are you serious? Are you okay? Up here? Asking? Come on. That's not how the world works. First of all, if you want a positive space, that's fine. But at least consider just once, that there are people who cannot escape their Blackness. There are people who cannot escape their transness. There are people who cannot escape the fact that they might get murdered every time they step outside their house because of the color of their skin. That is not something you could escape, even if you read books. Secondly, the entire point of reading books is not for escape all the time. I do not read books for escapism all the time. Sometimes I read books to learn values that I would apply to my everyday life. Sometimes I read books to learn about a political or social issue that I didn't know about. Those are things that affect my real life. Books, even if they're escapist, affect your real life. The Booktube community affects your real life. When you go on your phone, that is your real life. And you go on Instagram and you see these people who are deleting comments and girls being like, oh, queen, we love you. Don't let the evil Black Lives Matter bully you. That is real life. That affects me every day because I have to think about, wow, writing is my passion. I've always wanted to be a writer, but am I investing myself in a community that does not care about me? And I think that has been the problem with me for a long time with the Booktube community that has prevented me from joining for a long, long time. It's because at its core, the publishing industry and the book community and the writing community does not give not one solitary fuck about anyone who is non-Black. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I have to say it in such a crass way, but it's true. And it's been proven true just by the fucking behavior on Twitter, on YouTube, the amount of bullshit that people post on a weekly, on a daily, on a fucking hourly basis. You have people harassing Black content creators, saying that they're bullies on Curious Cat. You have white women getting on Instagram and saying that the number one killer of Black lives is abortion. You have people crying and trying to direct attention towards themselves because they can't handle criticism when Black people are literally getting murdered and are being criticized for being criminals and looters, and we're still fine. But everyone else just can't handle it. It's like their minds are just fucking exploding. They can't function because they don't know what to say. And I understand to a certain point that, like, not everyone is going to be this master, but, like, who says that it's, like, a bad thing to learn? Like, obviously people say, don't ask Black people to, like, educate you on racism. That's something you need to find out. But there are numerous sources, like numerous books you could read, numerous YouTube channels by Black creators that you could watch that are educating you for free. Google is free. Do you think I started out, like, my Blackness is something I know. I know I've experienced racism before, but do you think I knew when I was, like, growing up that there was this whole systemic process that was rigged against Black people? I had to learn that for myself. So if I'm able to learn, like, you should too. I don't want to treat people like they're fucking stupid. I want to hold them to a higher standard. And unfortunately, it's just some people just can't jive right with that. They just can't comprehend that for some reason. And it's just really disappointing. One of the things that disappointed me the most, like, going onwards, is the book outlet thing. I'm just going to do a quick little paraphrasing of the whole event. So if you don't know what book outlet is, it's like a online book dealership. It's really bargain. You could, like, go online and you could get books for a bargain price. And what had happened is they had, someone had addressed that they hadn't done a statement on Black Lives Matter. And that had been really startling to them. And Book Outlet said they linked to a Facebook post, which was about them promoting Black books, I believe. But it was also brought to our attention that Book Outlet wasn't really, they only had one book, well, they have zero now because idiots, but they only had one Black girl working for them out of a whole list of bloggers. And I believe it was Mayana and this girl named Mika who were talking about how they had applied, but they didn't get any response. I know Francina Simone added her own voice in saying that she had applied and they said no. And Book Outlet responded with this terrible statements, basically implying that Black people don't make family-friendly content. Like, they were saying, oh, we promote family value. Whenever someone says they promote family values or family-friendly, run. They either mean anti-gay or anti-Black, and it was the latter. So they were like, oh, we promote family values, no swearing, like, so, but they obviously got called out on their bullshit, obviously. But what really stuck with me is this anti-family, no swearing, like they swear. I didn't get that. How come whenever I watch Booktube, I've never watched a video from Chanel or Mayana or Mina or Jessie or any, like, booktuber, Black booktuber, and said, this is inappropriate for children, this is anti-family content. And why is that? Why are you associating Black booktubers with anti-family friendly content? There are white booktubers who swear too. In fact, there were white booktubers on their fucking blog list that swear. So that's an excuse. And it just all goes back to this forced, weaponized sense of positivity. They always go back to it. Talking about racism is negative. Talking about your feelings and being treated like shit in this community is negative. Doing this is negative. You should shut up. Booktube isn't for that. And that's where my point comes from. Because it's not just stifling YouTube channels from growing. It's stifling Black authors. It's stifling us from getting opportunities. It's stifling us from growing and flourishing and getting all the opportunities that equally deserved white people get. And that's an issue, a big one. Because how is this community going to pretend that there's some type of moral upholding of diversity and progress when they can't even give Black voices a podium? It's ridiculous. And it all stems back down to why we're so disenfranchised from this community, why I felt that I couldn't be on this channel just because, oh, no one's gonna watch me, no one's gonna be interested. And that's why I still have my foot in the door about Booktube. I don't want to just make this channel about Booktube. I want to talk about other things because I still feel like this community hasn't proved that it's deserving of my voice, of my time, of my energy. Why should I put that effort in when this community doesn't do it back? Honest question. And this is why we have such a terrible, like, people just read The Hate U Give, wonderful book, not talking shit, love The Hate U Give. They just read The Hate U Give and they give it 5 stars and they're just like, done. No more Black books. Or maybe it's not even a conscious effort, it's just ingrained up here, as so much racism is. Like, I don't think people understand. When we call these big authors out, it's not like a singling out of, you're a terrible person, you're a racist. I don't know if Sasha Alsberg didn't talk about Black Lives Matter because she hates the movement. I don't know that. I can't get into her head, and I would hope that she isn't. But she did have, like, an intrinsic bias that told her that it was not something that she should be talking about until people actively made a fuss about it. So I was really affected, especially in the writing community. I'm talking about Booktube, but the writing community is guilty too. I want to be a published writer. Writing is my passion. I have close to 200,000 readers online just from Wattpad. And I'm so blessed. I want to be a published author. But then I saw Booktube paid me. Or not Booktube. The publishing industry paid me. The publishing industry paid me this. It was a hashtag that was going on Twitter a few weeks ago. And it was basically trad published authors talking about what they got paid. And I was just appalled how we had authors who have won a Hugo. One of the George R.R. Martin has won a Hugo. One of the most prestigious writing awards of all time. Something I aspire to. She's getting paid less, almost double, than some middling YA book. And I'm not talking shit about that book. I haven't read it. But does that make any sense? If it had been a white author, I will put the book up here. I'm blanking on the name, but I really want to read it now. I want to support her. If it had been a white male author, do you really think they would be getting paid like $80K when a YA book that I don't believe was on the New York Times bestseller list was like double that? Do you think that would be happening for a trilogy? No. So I just feel, like I said, it's a sense of disenfranchisement with this community. And it starts on a personal level. It starts with someone commenting, these Black people are bullying you, send, and it goes all the way up to how much we're getting paid because we are still valued as less, and that is my problem. Hi, future me, I just finished editing my video. I literally just finished filming it. and I went on my computer, and the bullshit I am seeing on Twitter, now we are having book clubs doxing people, doxing a Black booktuber, and posting their personal information online. I don't even know what this piece of organization is called. I think it's called, let me just look, I'm on Twitter right now. The Fantastic Flying Book Club. This isn't a joke. Like, now we're resorting to like things that could get people killed just because you don't like what they're doing with their own platform. I just can't believe it. This community never fails to like just defy my low expectations. Just the bar is now in hell. But recently, I don't want to paint this entire thing as negative because there have been some really, really great allyship, but I really can't praise the allyship when there are Black booktubers right there just doing the most inspiring work that I wish that I could have done on my own time. I'm immunocompromised, so I couldn't really go out. It's really hard for me to go outside and protest, but I really wanted to. One of these particular Black booktubers who I'm talking about who has really stepped up and done a lot of great things is Jessie, Book Ties and Bows. They have really, really impressed me with their activism, with their sense of duty, with their honesty about being Black and being in the community. They were tear gassed at the protests. They were marginalized. They were treated terribly by people in this community. Certain people, not everyone. But I was also really, I'm not Jessie, so I can't be grateful on their behalf. But I did feel like the outpouring of support was really encouraging for me to see that. They made an excellent video. I would recommend anyone watch it, even if you're not in the Booktube community, to watch their video, because that video was so moving and so beautifully worded. They are a superhero. So shout out to Jessie. But, and it really did open my eyes that the Booktube community doesn't have to be what it always is. But in order for it to change, there needs to be people willing to step up and actually take action and ask the difficult questions that might conflict with this positive, safe space community that we have built. Because if it's only a safe space for a certain group of people, then it's not a safe space at all. And I've been really encouraged by my online friends that I have online who think I'm pretty eloquent, although I'm probably not showing it in this video. And I just decided to finally make a Booktube channel. And I want to show you something. So this is my copy of The Hate You Give. And I remember the day I got this book. I was at the mall. It was the lead up to holiday season. And I was at the Yorkdale Mall. If you're not from Toronto, it's a really big mall. They have like high-end stores, very expensive. It's pretty large. And we were in the huge 2-story chapters, and I saw it was the last copy, but it was the collector's edition, and it was signed by Angie Thomas. And I realized I haven't read this book, and I still haven't read this book. I just started reading it. I'm on page 50, and I just realized that I haven't been doing all I can to promote Black voices. How can I sit on Twitter and say, oh, listen to Black voices, do this, do that, when I haven't read a book because I was too estranged with reading at that point? So I feel like I need to step up and I need to like make my voice heard and make other people's voices heard. And that's something I've always wanted to do. I volunteer a lot and I write. I post on Wattpad very frequently. So it's not like I've ever been afraid. So I've really been encouraged by people like Mayana, people like Jessie, who have really been stepping up and really encouraging me to push myself and do something that's uncomfortable. I don't know, do I appear uncomfortable to you guys? Like, I feel like this is awkward. And I also don't want my sister in the other room listening to me. But even if it's awkward, I really do want to say thank you for watching. I will link my Instagram, Twitter, Wattpad, Goodreads, Grindr account in the description, and I'll put it somewhere on the screen. So I hope you stick around. Like I said, I might not just be talking about Booktube stuff. I might also do like cultural stuff. Like I have a Shane Dawson video that I'm planning. I shouldn't have to talk about it, but like it really irks me. And I'll do an unpopular opinions video, so we're gonna have lots of fun. And I hope you guys stick around. And this has been my first video, and I'm rambling. So I'm gonna say bye now. Bye bye.
You think if I searched your channel up on YouTube, if I would find it?
I have 0 subscribers. No.
Okay.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Try it.